I recently completed my first book, and before I take the next big step of submitting it to literary agents, I wanted to ensure it's as polished as possible. To do that, I decided to bring in a professional, somebody who could help me identify any story blind spots and help sharpen up my punctuation and grammar. In this video, I'll be working with editors I found through today's sponsor, Fiverr. My ultimate goal is to find one editor to help me tackle the entire book, but because that's such a huge commitment, I'm going to start small by first approaching a few editors and asking them to look at the first 2 chapters of my book. This sample will give me a sense of their editing style and whether they're the right fit for my project. At the end of this video, I will be mentioning some of the things I wish I knew before reaching out to prospective editors, so you're welcome to jump ahead for that. However, I'd like to first invite you to join me for day 1 as I start my search. I decided to use Fiverr to find an editor because I've had success in working with Fiverr sellers on personal projects in the past, like illustrating a book I made for my kids, as well as working with a producer to compose the soundtrack to Turning 30. Fiverr has a large variety of freelancers at affordable price points to assist with any project that you could be working on. But I needed an editor today. There are a lot of options. I am surprised how many qualified editors there are. Everybody from people with certifications in writing and proofreading, script writing and copywriting. We've got the, oh my gosh, I just love this, the help you say what you're trying to say kind of girl. Then we've got people who've graduated from top universities. So I've got a lot of options and I'm going to go about just messaging all of these people individually. One of the editors offers free samples, so she's happy to let me send through my work for free to get a feel of her editing style. I kind of feel bad that she wants to do this for free because, it's around 5,000 words, which is like 10 pages. So that's very generous. I'm going to try pay her something for this. But just what I've picked up is that working with people in your time zone could be a good idea because, she's in a similar time zone to me, which is probably why she's responded very quickly in comparison to everybody else. Nobody else has responded yet, but I haven't been at this for very long, so I might get responses soon because I know that I'm heading into the time zone for the US where people are likely to be at their computers starting work. So I'll hopefully have more for you soon, but I definitely think I am going to start with this editor, and it's refreshing to know that some people are willing to give you samples. Cool. Okay, we've got another editor who's responded. So she is going to create a custom package for me, which includes proofreading, basic line editing, and up to half a page of developmental notes. All right. It seems, just out of curiosity, that a lot of these editors, well, so far, require documents sent in Microsoft Word. So I don't have Word, but I do often write my screenplays in Writer's Duet, and I saw that there is an option to format my book in Writer's Duet, so I can download a Word file from Writer's Duet, which I'll be able to send to these editors. But if you don't have access to Word, I don't know how you go about this. I guess I'm just lucky that I can send them something that they'll be able to work with. But yeah, I think I found editor number 2, and let's see if other people respond. I'm still searching and sending at the same time, so I'm really contacting a lot of people here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to narrow down who I'm going to work with, but so far it's just been the 2 that have responded quickly. Okay, so the one editor whose profile I just loved, like the way that she described herself, I'll include it for you here. I'll also just link all of the editors that I end up using. I'll link them in my description, as well as this lady who I won't be using because she's just taught me something that I didn't know. So she asked me what specific type of editing I'm looking for because she says there's the developmental structural editing, which addresses the overall flow and structure of the content. And then there's proofreading or inline editing, which is the final step to getting the manuscript ready. So I think I'm looking for a bit of both, but specifically the second half, which is the inline editing. And she says she actually doesn't offer proofreading. She only offers the developmental editing. So I think, I'm kind of happy where I'm at developmentally. I'm more looking for specific edits, but there's just something here that I really, really liked. I don't think we're a right fit for this project, but yeah, she seems pretty cool. So if anybody's looking for developmental stuff, I'll just link her in the description if you're keen to check her out as well. But we need to find one more editor, and I've got another message here. So okay, let's quickly check this out. So this is the expensive one. So she is the Fiverr Pro one, which means that Fiverr have done, I guess, extra due diligence to see if she's really good. She's got loads of reviews, and yeah, she comes across really professionally and also really pricey. Something I just want to make sure that she's, cool on is a memoir and a rom-com, because I think the last thing I want is to pay a lot of money for this and it's not her genre of choice. Okay, so she is open to a memoir, she's excited about it, and again, she's expressing that it needs to be in a Word doc, which is totally fine. So I think I'm done. I found my 3 editors. They were just the ones who responded first, I guess. There's so many editors though. I literally, how many people did I message here? Must have been at least 11 or 12. So I could have gone a lot further. I could have, there's pages of editors. So I'm happy with what's happened. I kind of get decision fatigue if I have to interact with too many people. So I'm happy with this. I've got a free one, a medium priced one, and a really expensive one. And now I'm going to just send through my files, and wow, we'll see what happens next. What's surprising to me is that the person who offered to go through my work for free is the one who gives me the feedback the quickest. And honestly, I can't fault her feedback. I think it's really great. She has gone and removed some semicolons, replaced them with commas. She's improved my grammar a little bit. So I've just got my documents on the left and then notes on the right, and it's as simple as clicking the tick for the edit to be introduced, which is quite nice. So I do have final say whether I agree with the edit or not. The only thing I think I would have wanted is maybe some feedback. So some thoughts about what she liked about the book, maybe some areas that I could have improved. But maybe this is me just wanting more than what she offers. And maybe I could have just communicated this up front. I think that would have been a great thing to do. Just sort of expressing what I hope for, because she delivered on what she promised, which is giving me edits, but I'm kind of in a space where I don't know, does she want to finish editing this book with me? Did she enjoy it? I think I just was hoping for a little bit more. Okay, so I have got my feedback from the mid-priced editor, and so far, if I have to just compare her to what the editor who offered me a free sample gave me, the edits are somewhat similar. However, there's a couple of things that I think this editor prefers as opposed to the other editor. So I quite like using dashes, and she sort of suggests that maybe I'm overusing them, which totally I might be. But it's quite nice that she's bringing this to my attention. And she's also saying that it brings quite a few pauses while reading, which might interrupt the flow. But what's really nice here is that she's giving me editing notes. So the last one, I just sort of felt improved my story just with inline edits, just little things that I could change. But here I've got some hardcore notes. So something else that she mentioned is I refer to 3 of my characters as Dad 1, Dad 2, and Dad 3. And then later on in the chapter, I refer to them as husband 1, husband 2, husband 3. So it was quite nice that she picked this up, because for me, it's interchangeable. But for somebody who's reading the book for the first time, they might get a bit confused. So it was so nice that she picked this up. And then she also had one more note for me, and that was a specific question regarding the second chapter. And it's actually a really good question, because I can go back and add a bit more information and a bit more text to that specific part, which I'm so glad that she highlighted. So this is really promising. The one thing I'm just going to share, oh my gosh, this is, I might be overthinking this, but I'm sharing this on the odd chance that when other people ask for feedback on their work, they might hear something that makes them feel a little bit uneasy, and it could just be you overthinking it as well. But she says to me, this promises to be an interesting memoir. The writing felt effortless and easy to read, and your tone was inviting. There wasn't too much to correct, just some minor things. Now, immediately my mind goes to, this promises to be an interesting memoir. Interesting. You see, that word has got some connotations. I mean, I often use the word interesting if I don't really want to hurt someone's feelings. So is she saying interesting because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings, or is she saying interesting because this is interesting? You see, I'm like totally overthinking this. And I mean, maybe I should just reach out to her and ask, like, but I mean, oh my gosh, I don't know. I think maybe what would have been nice is if she just said, this promises to be an interesting memoir. I hope I can be the editor that finishes this with you, or something like that. That would just make me feel like, you know, she wants to stick out this entire experience with me. And I mean, one thing I'm picking up is I'm kind of needy. And I think the reason I'm so needy is because this is my story, and I am, it means so much to me, and obviously I can't expect it to mean as much to someone else, but I'm secretly hoping to find somebody who at least is able to make me feel like they're going to be as much part of this team that, you know, I want to create, that's going to hopefully create this amazing book. But again, like, I'm totally in my head here, and I mean, this is great feedback, absolutely fantastic, super happy. Okay, so the other 2 editors, I kind of felt like maybe I can write, like maybe I'm quite good. No, quite good, and not really. But I mean, this editor has humbled me. Oh my word! Like, straight off the bat, there is just edit after edit after edit. I mean, wow. This is amazing how many improvements she is able to see from my writing. And what is surprising is, although she is suggesting a lot of changes, it doesn't seem like she is cutting out my voice, which is nice to see. And something else that she does, so she doesn't give me a separate document with notes. In her edits, there are notes, so she has highlighted certain parts and then has either left some encouragement, like, I love how this adds self-awareness and a hint of the speaker's voice. Like, that's so cool that she says that, but also sees that and wants to keep that. And then at other times, she asks me to elaborate, like, what does this feel like, or this look like? I think something that I'm picking up from her edits is maybe I explain a bit more than I show, which I am sort of getting a masterclass from her edits, which is amazing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am really impressed here. But not only that, she is the one out of all of the editors I've contacted so far who has expressed that she's keen to see this project through with me, which is nice to hear. it's really nice to hear that somebody wants to do this with me, as opposed to me forcing them to do it because I'm paying them to do it. So what I'm getting across is this comes across as more than just another job for her, which, you know, as somebody who's paying for this feels nice. The only negative I'd say here is the price. I mean, it's really expensive, especially in my currency. But what I have noticed is that she is a vetted editor, and I'm curious as to whether perhaps contacting vetted editors might be the way to go. Even though it's really expensive, it sort of seems like a good investment into what I'm trying to accomplish here, because these edits are so detailed and thought-provoking. I'm curious to see what other vetted editors might say, because she's the only vetted editor I contacted, because, you know, she was quite out of the price range. But when I go onto Fiverr's website, I see that there is an option for you to only look at those curated editors, I guess. So I might actually do that. So I learned a lot during this process, and I'm going to share some things that I would have done differently if I could go back in time with regards to reaching out to a prospective editor. First, instead of only sending through 2 chapters, I would have first self-edited at least 4 chapters of my book and then send 4 chapters, because 4 chapters is quite a nice chunk amount of text, and this will give you an idea whether the editor spots common themes as well as pacing in the book, and it also will give you a very thorough idea of how much effort the editor will put in for a chunky amount of text. Then I would have also sent through a brief synopsis of my book when I sent out the first message to the editor, because this would give the editor a chance to say whether they actually have experience editing in that genre, or whether it's a genre that they're even interested in. Then I would have also attached a page of my book in a Word doc format as a sample for the editor to just scan through, because this would give them an indication of how much editing they would have to do, and this may also affect the pricing. And then finally, I would communicate my goal should we end up working together for the entire project. And this will just give me a bit of a clue if the editor responds to this. So they might completely ignore my goal, or they might talk to my goal. It just gives me personally, just the piece whether they want to get on board for the entire project, or whether they're just looking at this like another gig. But all of this is in connection with communicating with the editor for the first time. When it comes to finding the perfect editor for you, I would suggest that you look at their reviews. I would suggest that you analyze the way that they communicate to you. And what I specifically mean by this is, if you can edit their response to you, they probably aren't the best editor for your entire project. But then I would also just look at their offering, because as I learned, there are many different components to editing a book. So it's helpful to know what your editor offers, so that you don't go in there expecting one thing and they actually don't offer it. But my next step now is finding the editor that's going to edit my entire book. So I might still look at some of the other editors in the Fiverr Pro offering. And if you are out there wanting to try out Fiverr and find an editor for your book, the team at Fiverr have not only kindly sponsored this video, but they have also given my audience a 10% off their first purchase on Fiverr. So when you go through the entire checkout process, you will be given a space to fill in a code. And if you use the code DREAMIT, all in capital letters, then you will get 10% off. So good luck with finding the editor for your book. Let me know how it goes in the comments, and I will see you in a future video with the next update of me finishing my book and having an editor hopefully dust their magic on it to make it something magical. See you guys soon. Take care. Bye.